Something that you might find useful in your presentation is Wordart. And Wordart cannot be found on the toolbar, but you can find it under Insert. If you come down to Wordart here, you're going to get this little box. Now, when this box pops up, you're just going to type whatever you want. So I'm going to go ahead and type something again. Now, it says use Shift plus Enter for multiple lines, which means you have to hold down the Shift button, then press Enter, and it will take you to a new line. I'm not going to do that though. I'm going to go ahead and just type something here. When you hit enter, you're going to get this box. Now this doesn't look very artistic. It's not very interesting, but we're going to go ahead and change that. We can do all the same things we can do with, shapes and other stuff. If we click here, change the color, we can also change the outline. It's a little bit too big, so let's go ahead and drop it down to maybe 3. And maybe we want to change the outline to be something like red. There we go. Okay, so I've got this kind of candy cane looking text here. I'm going to change it to be maybe something like, don't quite like that. Let's go back to that's going to be too big. Let's go to bangers. There we go. All right, so now I got something that looks pretty good. Now, what you can do with this is you go to Format Options here. And if you remember from the first video when we discussed layout, I talked about this right side toolbar, this where themes was in the beginning, and you're gonna get the options for things like a reflection and a drop shadow. For now, ignore size and position. We'll talk about that in a later video. Let's go ahead and look at what drop shadow does. By clicking on drop shadow, you might notice there's a slight shadow around the outside. And by adjusting this, I can see size there. If I want to change the angle will move it around the outside of the shape like that. You can also blur it more if I want to blur it a lot. You can make it more transparent, or you can even change the color of the shadow itself. So I want to give it, let's try to find a nice contrast here. Let's use maybe a blue shadow, really dark blue shadow. There we go. Lower my transparency. Bring my angle back down a bit, distance like that. So there you go. The other thing you can do is add a reflection. So if I put a reflection in, it'll reflect it at the bottom. Now, you notice that it cuts off. It's kind of weird how it cuts off. If you set the transparency, it might look almost okay. If you change the size though, you'll get the full text down there as well. You can move it down further however you want. You can adjust the transparency so you can see it just a little bit, or if you want it to be almost a full reflection, you can do it that way. Okay, and that's Wordart. So play around with that and see what you can make.